This next event is one that we've all been looking forward to, and it's amazing to see some of the talent that we've had apply for this Pitchfest, and those of you in this room today. Last year, we crowded into the Moose Den to hear 9 companies pitch in front of an audience of about 100 people, and it was a lot of fun. We had beer involved, and this time around, there will be beer toward the end, so bear with us. We have plenty of Phil's coffee for you. This year, though, after a successful first year, we really wanted to professionalize that, and that's a testament to some of those that are sitting in the first row today. So we received a total of 40 applications from companies wanting to compete, some of them from Glendale, some from New York, some from the greater Los Angeles area. And after careful review, we narrowed down the field, and it was a difficult decision to the 9 companies that you'll be hearing today. Before we get started, I would like to thank and acknowledge those that have been working on this Pitchfest process really over 5 months. I was hoping that our Pitchfest committee members could please stand up. We have at the helm of the committee, Ara Islanian with Inverse Logic. And alongside him are committee members Anna Quintana with Black Diamond Ventures, Armin Vartanian with Ocean View Capital Partners, Alex Bruno with Bruno Group, Inc., John Kraft with Liftoff, and Mike Velasquez with Sad Velasquez Higashi Shama. Not here today, unfortunately, is Silvana Toledo. She has a nasty case of the flu, but she was also very instrumental to this. Thank you for your support. In addition to the coaches, we were able to develop a comprehensive prize package. But before we get into the details of that and our Pitchfest judges, allow me to introduce our moderator today for the Glendale Tech Week Pitchfest, Ms. Yasmin Beers, our Assistant City Manager. Yasmin serves as the Chief Operating Officer, overseeing approximately 1,600 employees, serving in police, fire, public works, parks, library, arts, and culture, just to name a few, including a reliable utility department in Glendale Water and Power. She is responsible for a citywide budget oversight, employee relations, the capital improvement program, policy management, and performs as our administrative hearing officer for the city. She attended and graduated from Hoover High School, and she earned a Bachelor of Arts in Political Science from California State University Northridge and a master's degree in organizational leadership from Woodbury University. In addition, Yasmin has quite the reputation for being no nonsense, a perfect trait to keep this event on time today. So without further ado, I would like to welcome our moderator, Ms. Yasmin Beers.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm hoping you're going to have a chair for me on the side because this is going to take a little bit of time. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, as I get situated here. Perfect. So this is an exciting event for all of us today. The room is filled, which is nice for such a large room because it is the Alex Theater. To see all these people here, it is pretty exciting for us. Today we do have 9 companies that will be making their pitches in front of a set of judges who are sitting in the front row. And they will be competing for $25,000, and it's a prize package, and they will have to present in front of 7 judges. The prize package includes $5,000 in cash, and this is $2,500 from Black Diamond Ventures and $2,500 from Community Bank, so thank you very much. $5,000 in services from Collab and Play. It's a Glendale-based co-working space. $5,000 in legal services, and this is provided by Bruno Group, Inc., as well as $5,000 in valuation, investment, structuring services, and negotiations from Ocean View Capital Partners. $2,500 in services for creation of a marketing video, and this will be produced by our very own GTV6. And $2,500 in accounting and business plan services, and this will be provided by Sad Velasquez Higashi Shama. So thank you very much for putting together the prize package of $25,000. A round of applause would be much appreciated. So to get started, Serving on our panel of judges this afternoon is our very own Zara Sinanian, who is a former mayor and our current council member, Mr. Sinanian. Ara Aslanian, who is the CEO of Inverse Logic. Where are you? There you go. Anna Quintana, principal of Black Diamond Ventures. Julie Haragi, vice president and general manager at Caruso. Alex Bruno, founder of Bruno Group, Inc. Juan Diaz, and that's the vice president, treasury management officer of Community Bank. And once again, John Kraft, and that's the founder of Liftoff. Thank you. So they'll be sitting right up here in the front. I'm not sure how many of you were present yesterday morning as we did the kickoff for this wonderful event. But I will tell you, I was here sitting in one of the seats, and Brian, and I forget his last name, from Expert Dojo, talked about the importance of community. The importance of community as it relates to businesses being successful, especially in this type of business. And I think what you see today as it relates to the monies that have come together, as well as the in-kind services for the $25,000 prize package, so community, business, and government coming together to put this together to make it a success. Again, a round of applause to this community, the city of Glendale, and all of us here. Okay, so this is how it's going to go, so please listen up. The Pitchfest will go as follows. Each company will receive 15 minutes total, and I'm good about kind of keeping track of all that. 15 minutes total to really make their pitch. They each have about 7 to 10 minutes to present, and it'll be followed by a Q&A by the judges. When you're at the 5-minute mark making your pitch, I will stand and I'll have a sign in my hand that says 5 minutes, which means you have 5 more minutes to complete to make it 10 minutes, so that the judges have the opportunity to ask any questions that they will have. The judges will have each pitch. They have tally sheets. They're going to mark those results. They'll be tallied up at the end. There will be a quick deliberation, of course, at the end of all of this, at the conclusion. And what will happen is at the end of the presentations, the sponsors of the Pitchfest will be invited to come up here to be able to present the winner with a $25,000 check. I know there are some supporters who are out here, I have to assume, for the presenters today, so please, please don't be bashful in making sure that you are cheering on and supporting the folks that are up here. So if you want to practice once, go for it, just go for it. Judges, are you ready? They look ready. All right, so let the Pitchfest begin. We will start with, I'm hoping I'm saying this appropriately, Apium. Our first company is Apium, a swarm robotics company that creates robotic systems for distributed ocean operations, such as data collection and oil spill cleanup, and creates technology, hardware and software, to help other companies swarm. Please welcome to the stage founder and CEO, Tyler McCready.
Thank you. All right, thanks. So Apium is, as she said, a swarm robotics company, and which can sound a little confusing, but it's a pretty simple idea. It's about making robots able to communicate with each other, cooperate with each other, and do that directly amongst themselves, so that now if we put out several robots, they become a group or a swarm. I started this company about 5 years ago. As I was seeing that, we were moving towards what I call an age of autonomy, when robots were going to be able to, sort of get out of factories and start to be able to get out in the real world. And navigate around on their own, and which has actually been happening a lot faster than I was expecting. I know from my own experience in engineering, I used to work at AeroVironment, a large drone company, but that once you get a lot of robots sort of in the same space, they can quickly get confused, and the whole system can grind to a halt. And I had an idea about how we could get them to work together, and thought this, this should be a great business for the future. And our business is very geared towards the future because the sort of the big need for swarm robotics, not just making swarms, but actually for situations where you already have a swarm, like just traffic situations, hasn't come around yet. So we're strongly focused on intellectual property. There aren't any other swarm robotics businesses out there, so we are sort of trying to pioneer and figure out how to do this. We started our business with ocean swarming because it seemed like a place where it was going to force us to develop the appropriate communications technology and develop the first useful applications. We designed these little vehicles on our own. These are, we call them data divers, and they are all out there in the ocean. We go out to Catalina a lot to test. They're all communicating with each other. We're able to, because they're all sort of working together by themselves, it's very easy for an operator because now the operator just sees the group, and we can make them go into different formations. We can spread them out in areas of interest. These ones have sensors for collecting ocean data, and they, as we get them to swarm around at the surface, and then we can make them all dive so that they, there they go, and they will do vertical profiles through the water and come back up and immediately give a 3D picture of an area, which can be really helpful for ocean phenomena that are rapidly changing, like trying to map an algae bloom or an oil spill or some other toxic spill out in the ocean. And we make them very rugged, and we try and make them so that they're small and easy to get around. We are, right now, we have our first purchase order for some of these with the selling a group of 10 of them to the Navy, who use them for nearshore mapping surveys. But that was really the intention of that swarm, was to be our development platform to start so that we develop our intellectual property. But the much bigger market is to be putting this swarming capability on other people's vehicles, because there are so many companies out there making amazing autonomous vehicles. But we know that swarming is a difficult capability to just to do in practice. So we've extracted this sort of the essence of swarming. We have a streamlined capability to put this on anybody's other vehicles. We can do it on land, sea, and air. And again, it always, you always end up with this situation where now one person can operate pretty much an unlimited number of vehicles. We are starting to work with early adopters. The Navy is one. Also, this is a situation we've been recently did with a satellite communications company that has some severe sort of communication restrictions, but wanted to do a beyond line of sight demonstration. A robotics boat company. We used our swarming technology to control a swarm of these boats through a satellite connection. And so today we're working heavily on IP and filing patents, and it's great, being here in Glendale. We work with Louis Roca, Rothgerber, and Christie, and we're getting our first product sales. We're finding our early adopters. We are in the middle of negotiating our first licensing deal, but where we're really going in the future, I think, is wherever the largest number of robots are, and that's going to be traffic, whether it's drone delivery in the sky, self-driving cars on the road. My team is incredible, and it's wonderful to be able to work with these people, and I find over the years that we have been able to accomplish everything that we've set our mind to. So I'm really looking forward to the next couple of years as we grow. So far, this has been a self-funded business because it's been entirely R&D focused. I've put about $5 million into it myself, and we are at this point where, I think 2018 is going to be like our break-even year, but it's also the opportunities and the people interested in exploring our technology are becoming, they're showing up more and more, and it would be really nice to have a little more funding to be able to hire 1 or 2 more people and maintain a strong IP focus so that we can really establish a strong sort of, ground floor on this emerging business. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now we will spend some time if the judges have any questions. We have about 3 to 5 minutes, and we do have microphones on the side. So please do utilize a microphone when asking a question so everybody in the audience can hear. With that, we'll open up questions, judges.
I have one question.
Yes.
The contract with the Navy,
Yes.
is that a proof of concept contract, or is that a paid contract?
They are purchasing our product as a commercial product, and they're buying the hardware. I think for them it is, they already know the concept works. We've been out doing demonstrations with them, and I think they want to just keep exploring how they can fit it in with their overall operations.
Tyler, I had a question. What other companies are out there in your space?
There aren't really any other sort of standalone companies working on swarming the way that we're doing it, of really emphasizing the vehicles talking to each other rather than being centrally coordinated. I think there are certainly other companies making amazing vehicles to do things like ocean mapping that there's sort of, there's a lot of work towards more and more capable single vehicles, and that's kind of our competition these days. We're seeing where we can go in the opposite direction of making simpler vehicles, but the ability to put more of it.
Tyler, you said you've raised or you've put in $5 million of your own
Yes.
money. When is the next raise, and how does that look like? What does that look like?
I don't know what it looks like.
What's a Series A, right?
I mean, what I would like is well, I get, numbers wise, if someone wanted to come in with $1 million, they would own 1/6 of the business, and my intention would be to continue doing what we're already doing.
When do you see yourself raising that? Is that next year, 2 years from now?
Oh, it would
For
be
the contracts?
We're ready to start using it now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about the scalability? What are the limits in terms of the ability to keep the robots working together? Does it get harder as it gets larger?
We, like a key part of the approach that we're working on, as opposed to something like, when you see the swarm that was made for the Super Bowl, or that Disney uses, these are centrally coordinated swarms. They're sort of operating at the limit of the complexity and communications of the system. Our swarms are the vehicles talking amongst themselves, and they can grow just as much as any swarm in nature can grow. There's no reason they can't be thousands or millions of vehicles. And also because of the swarming dynamics, an operator is never having to concern themselves with a single vehicle. They are always just seeing the sort of the group as a group. So driving them around is like herding cattle. And it can always be one operator regardless of the size of the group. And one other key aspect of scaling is that because things aren't sort of being centrally coordinated, vehicles can join and leave our group at any time, which is why it's also, the technology we're developing is so applicable to traffic situations, because you never know where different cars would be joining in, but our sort of swarm can handle that.
We have time for one more quick question.
Have you thought about a marketing strategy? So you've got a deal with, I think you said the Navy, correct?
Yes.
So where does it go beyond that, and how would you go about marketing this?
Yeah, so our marketing is mostly through demonstrations, and I think that's it. It's just sort of demonstrating the capabilities and finding those early adopters. We're not at a stage where we need more and more customers. We only need a few right now. We could only handle a few.
Okay, with that, another round of applause. We did pretty well for the first one with a few minutes to spare, so thank you again. Our next company is Bootstrap Legal, and this is a legal fintech startup that applies artificial intelligence to the legal industry. Please welcome the company's founder, Amy Wan.
Go for it. Okay. Hi, my name is Amy Wan. I'm CEO and Chief Legal Hacker at Bootstrap Legal, and I have a confession. I'm an attorney. Now, I know that instantly makes me one of the most unpopular people in the room, but let me try and redeem myself. I'm actually trying to automate my former job. So what that specifically means is that I am trying to lower the transactional cost of raising capital by making the legal process simpler. Now, let me show you what I mean. This is Lane. He's actually our user number one. Lane needed legal documents because he is trying to become a full-time real estate investor. So he got a property under contract. He had 90 days to close escrow and needed to raise $300,000. So he came to Bootstrap Legal, clicked Try Us Out. He registered on the website, put in his credit card number because, God forbid, a legal service be integrated with Stripe. Filled out an adaptive questionnaire with a lot of questions about his raise, and then he clicked Submit. And bam, in 48 hours, he gets the first draft of his legal offering documents in his inbox, and they come attorney reviewed. Now, so that I can explain to you how different a process this is from the traditional process, let's talk very quickly about what the traditional process looks like, right? So you're an entrepreneur, you need to raise money, usually very quickly. You call up an attorney. You say, hey attorney, send me an engagement letter. That attorney doesn't draft their engagement letter. They have their paralegal draft their engagement letter. So a day goes by. The paralegal sends you the engagement letter. Maybe they got the name wrong or the company wrong. So you have to go back, ask for a correction. Now 2 days have gone by, right? And then, so you print out, you sign, you scan the engagement letter, and then the law firm sends you wire instructions. So you have to get in your car, drive to the bank, stand in line to send a wire. And hey, it takes 1 to 2 days to confirm receipt of a wire. So now we're at maybe, 3 or 4 days? Then you go and schedule an intake with your attorney. Maybe that's like 3 or 4 days later because they can't do it that day. So now we're on day 7 or 8 before you've ever really even talked about anything about your deal with the attorney. And you do the intake with the attorney, and then you sit there and you twiddle your thumbs and you wait for the first draft of the documents. And you wait. And you wait. Because, and I say this from personal experience, your attorney has a ton of other stuff to do with a lot of other urgent clients who also need to raise capital as well. And so you're not necessarily at the top of the pile. So maybe if you're lucky, you get your first draft 2 weeks from the intake. So now you're about maybe 3 to 4 weeks out. That's 3 to 4 weeks that you could have been raising capital, right? And time is money. So what we're really doing at Bootstrap Legal, our unique proposition, is that we are putting the user in control. How often have you felt when you worked with an attorney that the attorney was the one driving the car and you really had no idea what was going on? We're kind of reversing that at Bootstrap Legal. So we want to provide a beautiful user experience. So we're friendly. We've really streamlined a lot of the process. We're affordable. We actually have flat fees, so you're not, paying an attorney a retainer and, getting some humongous bill 2 months from now that was 2 or 3 times whatever the attorney quoted, right? This is much more predictable. We're fast with 48-hour turnarounds, including attorney reviews. And most importantly, and this is near and dear to my heart, it's still a very high level of quality. And I say that as an attorney, a graduate of USC Law, and the London School of Economics. I used to work at a boutique securities law firm, and I actually licensed a copyright to all of their fund documents from the law firm. And so all of these are, all of this is language that has been used for actually several decades. So, the capital raising industry is a very large one. You could raise money for restaurants and films and cannabis and dispensaries and whatever you want, right? We can't quite do everything in one day. So we're starting specifically with the real estate industry, and we're doing that for a couple reasons. A, there's a lot of money in that industry. 2, it's very sticky. You're a full-time real estate investor. They don't work on one property a year. They'll work on several, right? So they're raising capital several times a year. And number 3, and very importantly, they're very willing to spend money. Now, today we have 2 products. It's Basic and Premium. Basic is you just get a first draft of your legal documents. And so what that really means for those who know about the capital raising process is it's a PPM, all the operating agreements you need, and your subscription agreement. We also have a premium product, and actually most of our users to date have bought the premium product. That's a bit more all-inclusive. It comes with entity formation and post-offering compliance. We're actually a very early stage startup, but we've moved very quickly. We finalized the concept in March, incorporated in April, raised a small friends and family round in May. We did a public launch of our MVP at the end of July, so yes, we do have a working product. Within a month, we achieved profitability, and this month we're actually launching a new product. It's a specialized legal plan specifically for real estate investors, and I can get into that during Q&A if you want. We have an amazing team, so our advisors are everywhere from ex-legal Zoomers to people who are in the legal tech industry. We have the godmother of Silicon Beach and the former general counsel of AngelList. As far as our team, I am the CEO. Dan Rice is my CTO. We've actually both come from the fintech world, so Dan came up through the Yodlee Invest FinTech Accelerator. I think now it's called YNext Incubator. I have been general counsel of a real estate crowdfunding startup, partner at a boutique securities firm. I've been nominated as finalist for Corporate Counsel of the Year Award by LA Business Journal. I'm a fellow with the ABA Business Law section, and I've been named one of the top 10 women to watch in legal tech. In terms of competitors, there aren't actually that many systems out there today that focus on automating the legal aspect of the capital raising process. Really what you have is, your high-end traditional law firms. For everyone who can't afford an attorney, unfortunately, they resort to handshake agreements or, often really terrible online templates. There is one other competitor, their name is iDisclosed. They have actually, in the past, I think, year, pivoted more over to the regulation crowdfunding space, which is more of a niche. It's actually not a niche we're looking to get into, and they're very general, whereas we're starting vertical by vertical. So in terms of the size of the market, I'm going to briefly cover the real estate market and the overall market, right? So I estimate that the size of the real estate syndication market specifically is about $2.8 billion annually, and that's in legal spend. That's not, the value of all the commercial buildings in the U.S. or something like that. But if you look at, SEC stats, there was actually over $63 billion raised in real estate private placements from 2009 to 2012, and anecdotally, the size of the average real estate syndication is $250,000, whereas SEC statistics say it's $2.5 million. So there's actually a large disparity there, and that basically means that there's a lot of people out there raising capital illegally with no legal documents and not doing any compliance filings because they simply can't afford an attorney. In terms of the size of the overall capital markets, that's just the private placement market alone is over $2 trillion, but that's a lot of verticals. I'm raising $250,000, and specifically what I need that for is to pay 2 full-time employees, the CTO that we're about to bring on, and I'm currently recruiting for a chief of staff, and because we haven't spent a cent in marketing to date, and it would be really nice to have a marketing budget. So that's it.
Perfect. With 15 seconds to spare. Not bad. With that, we'll go to the judges. Questions, please.
Amy, thank you for the disclosure that you're an attorney. We won't hold that against you. So where does the advice come in? Because it seems like you focused on document preparation.
Sure.
Why would somebody come to Bootstrap and not to LegalZoom?
Sure. We don't actually consider LegalZoom to be a real competitor to us, for a couple different reasons. One, this is not like an NDA or an employment agreement. This is actually something, highly specialized and highly regulated. This is the sale of securities, right? And so most people who play in this space, they don't really want to just, let's just say quality matters, right? Secondly, documents matter, but what matters more than documents is the structure, how you're structuring the deal. So for example, the reason why we are going vertical to vertical is because real estate transactions, for example, have their own specific capital structure. Startups have their own capital structure. ICOs or cannabis deals or film financing, each vertical has their own capital structure. And so what we do is we're automating and basically highly modularizing those capital structures. LegalZoom, I think, is more for very generic, more low-end, less regulated type of a product, whereas we're a lot more niche. We play in a highly sophisticated, highly regulated space, but there still is a whole demographic of people out there who, they don't have a lot of money, they need to raise money, right? And currently I don't think that market's being served. Sorry, and also in terms of answering your question about legal advice, we are a legal technology company, we are not a law firm, right? So the legal technology company today will automate the first draft of a lot of this, of these complex offering documents. As much as I would like to automate legal advice, there are certain ethics and professionalism rules around the legal industry that I don't feel like being the pioneer of just yet. And also what I have found, when I started this process, I thought, hey, we can automate 100% of 80% of transactions. I don't believe that anymore today. I think we can automate 80% of 80% of transactions, and that is because The two things that you can't automate, one are the bespoke tweaks that an attorney will make to a document to conform it to the actual deal. And secondly, it's that advisory interaction between attorney and client. You know, that still I find is very important.
I have a question about traction and revenue. You said you were profitable in August. Give us a sense of, you know, what kind of revenue are you talking about? How many different clients? And then also, to what extent is your revenue recurring? When somebody uses you, let's say in August, do you expect that that'll be a client, you know, every month, you know, every quarter? What does that look like?
Sure. So in terms of revenue, everyone who's come through the system so far has purchased a premium product because they're looking more for a one-stop shop. We had 2 pre-launch users. When we launched, we had, you know, 2 users in August. September, we actually had to make some tweaks, and then in October, we already have 1 in, and we have 4 in the pipeline. They're just waiting for due diligence to actually press the start button. Now, that is not recurring revenue because this is very transaction-based. However, at least in the real estate syndication industry, when you raise money for a property, you know, it's not like you do it once, right? You work with many properties. And so when I was an attorney, the one thing I saw was that there is a lot of loyalty in terms of working with your attorney or, you know, whatever service that you're using. And secondly, when people are doing real estate projects, you know, the good ones will do projects, you know, 5 or 6 times a year in a regular market, not a hyped market, but not a scary market. Now, having said that, we are launching a legal plan this month, and the reason we're doing that is twofold. One is because that is annual recurring revenue, because it's subscription-based. They would be paying every single month. And secondly, because we're actually monetizing on a lot of time that we spend in sales. It's a lower bar for them to, you know, pay a little bit for a subscription plan than, you know, $7,500 outright for these documents. So it's a stepping stone.
And that concludes, we'll have one more question.
Quick question.
A real quick answer, though, please. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Okay.
Okay. Amy is a fellow USC law grad and a securities lawyer. Kudos for thinking outside the box. So the question is, how much cheaper are your services compared to the conventional attorney-client relationship?
Sure.
With respect specifically to producing these documents.
So I asked around to my clients, like how much they usually pay. The figure that I got was, you know, for a $1 million raise, it's typically a range of $10,000 to, you know, $25,000 to $30,000, depending on what law firm you use.
Great. Thank you so much. A round of applause. With that, we're going to give our judges a minute to deliberate about the last 2 presenters that we had. I think that's what we're going to do every couple of presenters. And we will invite the next speaker in about a minute. Okay. With that, our next presenter, we have Dish Divvy, which provides consumers a platform to access local cooks in their community and tap into the delicious homemade meals these cooks are making on a daily basis right in their neighborhoods. Please welcome founder and CEO Ani Tarosian and co-founder and COO Susanna Saponjan.
Thank you. So for all you married folks out there, please let's have a raise of hands. Who really likes enjoying spending time with their mother-in-law? Right? We got some optimistic people in the crowd. I can honestly say I absolutely have the best mother-in-law in the world. She's actually in the audience right now. And any given day you stop by her house, she's cooking a pot of food. And by pot, I don't mean this much, I mean this much, right? And that's such a blessing for me because I have access to homemade food all the time. But sometimes I get busy, so I can't make it over to her house to pick up the food, and sometimes her daughter can't pick it up, so I always know there's leftovers. So I started thinking, this is so much great food. I don't want it to go to waste. What if people in the neighborhood could have access to that amazing food? There's people all around who want homemade food, but they don't have the time or the skill set, perhaps, to produce it. So then I started thinking, okay, well, can she sell some of this? Can she use her culinary skill set to make supplemental income? And that's kind of where the idea of Dish Divvy was born. So we started Dish Divvy 3 months ago, actually, and you can sort of imagine this Venn diagram. It kind of gives you an idea, but Dish Divvy connects approved home cooks in a neighborhood with neighbors looking for wholesome homemade dinner options. So you can imagine you're driving home from work, you're on our app, you view dishes that have been uploaded by these approved home cooks, and you select your dish, you check out, you pick it up on your way home, and voila, you have homemade dinner when you get home. So you can kind of imagine our offering as an intersection between sort of what grandma cooks with a wholesome home-style offering, and then also what a personal chef offers as far as being professional and standardized and food quality. And so Dish Divvy is really a middle ground between those two. So quick background on me. My name again is Ani Tarosian. I'm the CEO of Dish Divvy. I have a degree in biomedical and electrical engineering from USC. I'm a UI UX designer, and one of my favorite quotes up here is "Creativity is intelligence having fun" by Einstein. And I really just embody that every single day. If I'm not creating, I'm not evolving. I really want to introduce you to my COO, Susanna Saponjian. She has a degree from CSUN in marketing and business, and she does all things operational. So she's our cook onboarding specialist and runs the show when it comes to getting the cooks onto the platform. One of her favorite quotes, which signifies exactly how she operates every single day, is the way to get started is to quit talking and start doing. So how does Dish Divvy actually work? Let's visualize this. So let's take a look at our app. So you would view dishes in your neighborhood that have been uploaded by approved home cooks. You can filter by price, rating, dietary tags, right? And then once you click your dish, you can see a lot of information like the description, the price, the portions, the pickup time. When you select your portion, you can select between single or family. And you just add it to your cart and check out. And once you're in your cart, you can add side items to your cart if you feel like you want to kind of, double up on that. And when you check out, your cook gets an order confirmation of the exact order. And so they start prepping your food. When you get to curbside, the cook is notified and they have your food ready to go, packaged, and bring it out to you on curbside. So you just drive right home and have your homemade dinner. So number one question on people's minds, they're like, oh, that's an awesome idea, but what about food safety, right? We take food quality and food safety very seriously. Right now, there is no formal regulatory process for approving home cooking operations. However, the California State Assembly has a bill, AB 626, which is on the assembly floor for final vote, which creates a formal regulatory process for micro-enterprise home kitchen operations, which is sort of a fancy word for home cooks. This allows home cooks to generate up to $50K a year from their home kitchen and selling dishes to their community. It does provide a stringent regulatory process for their kitchens to be inspected and approved. We are actually in meetings with state senators and local officials to make sure that the progression of the bill continues as is planned.
Great. Hi, everyone. So as Ani said, we take safety and quality super seriously. That's why we create a rigorous onboarding and approval process of our home cooks. I'll take you down the list real quick. So first, the cook applies on our website. They get to submit detailed information about themselves. The requirement is a California food handler card and a government-issued ID. Then we make contact over the phone. We get information about their experience and lay out the onboarding process for them. Afterwards, a cook submits an application to get a date for kitchen inspection and taste testing. So in this kitchen inspection, we personally visit every single kitchen to make sure it's up to par, and we follow AB 626 language. A few questions that we ask are, do you have single-use caps? Do you have single-use gloves? Do you have food thermometers? So we get really down into the details. Final step would be the completion of the cook agreement and then submission of required documents. And then only after successfully submitting all 4 steps, the cooks are allowed to post meals on our platform. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk about competition. So we've identified one direct competition, Josephine. They're operating in Oakland, California. They're a similar marketplace model as we are. Indirect competitors are meal kit companies and also restaurant delivery companies. So by now you're thinking, so how's Dish Divvy superior or greater? So what we do is we're developing an app that has high-tech technology that uses geofencing to be able to notify the cook when the customer is approaching their home and they're within a certain mile radius from them home. This allows the cook to quickly package the food and have it at the right temperature and ready for pickup. Okay, so we wanted to test our concept, and for that we launched our beta. We started with a WordPress website. We started September 5th, and we set out certain goals we wanted to achieve. We purposely structured the beta in a way where the pickups from Ani's house, so we can get firsthand interaction with the customers. So we could get feedback, we could understand how the packaging works, and actually observe cooks in action. So let's look at it and recap the results. So end of beta, we actually had 15 successfully onboarded cooks. We had on average 16 daily servings. We had 25 unique users. The most important metric that we derived from this beta was the repurchase rate. We said, okay, if we're able to prove that 20% and over people will come back for the second time and purchase our meals, then this is a product that's valuable to a customer. It brings value to them. And we came at 47%. This sort of tells us that customers, yes, it may take time for them to get used to the idea and order, but once they do, almost half of them come back for the experience.
So how do we monetize the platform? We are a marketplace model, so our cooks take 85% of the transactional subtotal, and we keep 15% to cover costs for operating the platform. We actually charge the end consumer a direct fee of 99 cents or $1.99, which covers incremental expenses like packaging and insurance, and that's based on whether or not they ordered a single portion or a family portion in the order. So here is our revenue model. We put a lot of thought into what the assumptions that go into our financial analysis. Of course, this is an analysis, but we have a lot of goals. We've only been at this for 3 months, and in 5 years, we can imagine where we want to be at. We have focused really on the cooks. The cooks are sort of our main focus in the marketplace model, and we feel our point of inflection is at onboarding 5,000 cooks, which we expect to do in 2020. That will give us a bigger uptick in our margins, and by 2022, we want to be at a gross revenue of $700 million. So with an investment, we are looking to fast track our app. Our app is currently in development. Like Susanna mentioned, we have a beta site right now that's fully functional. We are in our full launch mode while we're developing our app, but we would like to fast track that. We want to pour money into marketing automations so that we can make our strategies more efficient. And we'd also like to scale quickly as far as how we can onboard our cooks, and we have strategies and systems in place and how we would do that. So just want to end with saying food is joy, and that's one of our value statements, is bringing joy and connecting community. And one of the text messages we received from one of our repeat users is right here, and I love it. It really brings everything together. So what she said is, I love her. She's talking about her home cook. I love her and her food. I'm enjoying this so much. Guilt-free, excellent food. It's like eating my mom's food. I can't believe how good this is. Kids love it. So with that, we hope you enjoyed learning about Dish Divvy, and we hope you enjoy your share. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a quick shout out to our cooks are in the audience. Thank you.
We've got the other side of the audience.
A lot of good cooks out there right now.
For the Q&A, judges, please.
Ladies, that was a great presentation. Thank you. I have a question. When you guys scale to adding, let's say, 5,000 cooks, how are you guys going to manage inspecting all these kitchens all over the country?
Yeah, fantastic question. We thought about that sort of from day one, and we have come up with a cook ambassador program where we're observing even in our beta launch that amongst clusters of cooks, There's some that really stand out that not only have their culinary skill set, but really are entrepreneurial and understand the business and really want to get in on our vision. So we're coming up with a cook ambassador program. So each locality will sort of have this ambassador that will also sort of profit share in the revenue of their territory, but be responsible for executing the inspections, just like to maintain our protocols across the board.
Great presentation. I had a quick question about the team. Tell us about your team. Give us more detail about your team and how that's going to get you to those revenue model that you have.
Well, this is the team so far, but we definitely need to hire good people, right? And we just haven't had the chance to even stop and breathe and think about that. We really wanted to get our MVP out there. We do have an extended contracted team that helps us on the tech side. I myself am technical, but to get a product out there this quickly, we needed to have a team, which is part of my extended team that I've worked with for years. But at the same time, we want to bring in technical knowledge in-house, so that's going to be number one, and then also marketing expertise. We are trying to build out a lot of automation right now. A lot of the marketing we're doing is very manual and time-consuming, so we're building out APIs so that we can communicate with different marketing channels like Mandrill and MailChimp and create all these automations.
Hi.
Hi.
In case AB 626 fails, what regulatory model are you going to follow? I mean, have you thought about that? In the absence of a clear regulatory model, what do you do to make sure that you're safe and your customers are safe?
Right. I mean, that's a great question. I mean, we don't really know, when it fails because so much work has been put into that bill, and sort of the insiders on that bill are very confident that it's going through. It's already been through several revisions, so the policymakers feel that it's at a point where it's acceptable. So in that situation, we have the meetings that are lined up with the policymakers, and we would want to sort of see what their experience is in this situation, what is sort of like the best plan B.
Have you thought about the practicality of having ambassadors that are incentivized by profit in their region responsible for inspection, because their motivation is going to be to get their region as big as possible, not to make sure that they're doing really robust inspections.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're trying to think about how we can bring tech to meet that operational, sort of have checks and balances through the technology as well. So this is just a brand new program that we've thought about for scaling, in the future. And that is a consideration that came up of, look, we don't want to outweigh the true priorities here, right, with the profits. So it's something that we want to throw into the tech. How can we have checks and balances through the tech, and then how can we make sure that we have maybe sort of internal territory managers that do spot checks or something like that. So we're still expanding on this idea and this program.
And just a quick follow-up, if the bill does pass, what is the government's role in that inspection process? How often do they inspect?
So the bill's language indicates that the tech platform, as in us, actually bears responsibility to make sure that all the cooks on our platform have valid permitting. And so we do need to step up and make sure that all the cooks that we have on our platform have been inspected per AB 626 and are valid and up to date.
We have time for one more question.
Did you bring it?
We were going to bring dolma for everybody, but didn't get around to it, yeah.
So I think it's great. I work and I don't cook, but I do have a family, so
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. Question though, why did you choose not to, or maybe you will in the future, build in the delivery as opposed to somebody having to go to the cook's house to pick it up?
Yeah, that's a great question. So with my experience, so I've been entrepreneurial sort of like since the day I was born, and I've helped people build businesses, and I know that when you don't focus on sort of one thing and try to do everything, a lot collapses, right? So in 3 months, we really wanted to get our MVP out there, and trying to have delivery logistics integrated into that was sort of going to be chaotic. However, it is on our long-term radar. For the past 2 years, I've worked on a software for a client where we did build software for the food delivery logistics world, for the restaurant food delivery, so I know everything that goes into driver dispatching and notifications and late orders and spillage of food. So when you transport a human, right, a human doesn't spill, they don't splatter, they don't go bad, but when you transport food, it's a whole other story. So what we're thinking of doing is integrating, and we have already reached out to Postmates with a third-party delivery company. That's their sole business, they know exactly how to do it, and we're thinking of charging a subscription plan for families who want that convenience factor to get unlimited deliveries the whole month through that subscription model.
With that, let's thank Ani and Susanna.
Thank you.
This is yours.
Okay, thank you. Our next company is Fisher Imaging, which is developing a MammoCat, an imaging technology that significantly improves the detection and diagnosis, I can't say that word well, tell me somebody, diagnosis, thank you so much, of early breast cancer with a staged evolutionary product launch strategy. Please welcome Dr. Shabir Bambot.
Thank you so much.
That's yours.
All right. Can you hear me? So Fisher Imaging is working to revolutionize breast cancer detection because mammography, the standard of care for doing so, is flawed. Did you know that mammography misses almost half the cancer cases in young women? And it's terribly inaccurate on the rest. Our proprietary technology addresses these 4 key issues with today's mammography. Poor resolution, which is the reason why many cancers are missed and there are too many unnecessary callbacks. Poor contrast, which is why it cannot find cancer in young women. And that's because the difference in radio opacity between normal tissue and cancer in the breast is very subtle. Radiation dose. Today's mammography doses the patient with too much radiation, causes a lot of X-ray scatter. And finally, compression. Men may not appreciate this, but women often forego mammograms because of how much they hurt. With your help, we will launch MammoCat DM, our first product, in 2019. This product enjoys a relatively fast FDA regulatory path, a 510(k), and is generously reimbursed. If you're a radiologist, resolution is a big deal. Our technology provides the highest resolution yet of 25 microns, which is important because that's needed to see the tumor spicules, the microcalcifications, the architectural distortions that are important to diagnose breast cancer. Our competitors are able to, at best, resolve maybe 70 to 80 microns. And this is the reason why many cancers are missed. So we looked at our performance, a lab prototype against a state-of-the-art mammography machine at hologic dimensions. We found that we beat the competition, at 60 microns, 35 microns, all the way down to 25 microns. In fact, the hologic machine was not able to give us any performance at 25 microns. We then looked at resolution, at contrast, which is the ability to discern these subtle micro changes in radio opacity. And we found that our technology was able to detect on a phantom 25% more masses than a state-of-the-art machine. But that's not all. We were able to do this using 30% less X-ray dose than the competition. So how is it that we are able to provide twice the resolution, greater contrast, and all of that using less X-ray dose? Well, today's mammography uses a cone beam of radiation, such as the one shown on the left, and that causes a lot of X-ray scatter. It's kind of like a flashlight. And in order to get rid of that X-ray scatter causes a lot of noise on the images. So in order to get rid of that, what they use is, and you can't see this here, but they use a grid, scatter removal grid, to get rid of that X-ray scatter. But that's after all of that radiation has passed through the patient, and an expensive 2-dimensional detector. Our technology, shown here, scans the patient's breast with a very narrow, paper-thin X-ray beam that is held in close, tight collimation with a linear line-shaped detector that scans the breast in concert with the X-ray beam. And that essentially eliminates X-ray scatter, provides high resolution and contrast, and a lower cost. That's not all. Women in the audience will tell you, that Mammography today as a test is frankly unacceptable. You know, breasts are cone-shaped, and vigorous compression between two parallel plates is unnatural and painful. And so our technology allows a more comfortable compression, such as the one shown here. And the reason it can do that is because at every position, the changing thickness is accommodated by changing the exposure parameters. And so we can provide, therefore, a painless experience to the patient as opposed to the current standard of care. So you will agree that our technology provides a higher resolution contrast, which would mean fewer cancers, fewer unnecessary callbacks, a lower dose, a safer test, pain-free compression, better patient compliance with mammography. We can launch this product relatively quickly because of the 510(k) regulatory path. It's already reimbursed by CMS. This also allows us to demonstrate the value of our unique technology in the marketplace, establish our brand, create an installed base for service, and allow us to upgrade in the future to MammoCAD DBT, which stands for digital breast tomosynthesis, which is a newer technique in which the breast is imaged over multiple angular positions. This technique is beginning to show value in the marketplace with better detection and fewer recalls. Our technology gives to DBT the same benefits that it gives to standard digital mammography. It's based on our slot scanning technology, but this requires a PMA regulatory path, which is why we have staged this as our second product. We showcased a concept of our third product, MammoCAD CT, at a recent RSNA meeting. This product, the patient lies prone and allows full 360-degree CT imaging of the breast uncompressed at the same dose as that of standard mammography. We believe MammoCAD CT will usher in a new era where tumors can be diagnosed, staged, and biopsied, all on the same device, indeed the same room, and this will help with hospital workflow, with demands on space, and with equipment utilization. So here's our timeline. We can launch our first product, MammoCAD DM. In the first year, we plan to submit our 510(k) application, first year following funding. And because we have an FDA-inspected quality manufacturing facility, we can ship products the very next year. We're seeking a $5 million raise to help us launch MammoCAD DM. Now, in parallel, we can also work on our other two products, but that will require an additional raise of $20 million. Or we can wait until after we have launched our first product, and our raise at that time will depend upon how well we do in meeting our sales and revenue projections. We have freedom to operate. We have issued patents in the US and in Europe. We have a valuable trademark in Fisher. We have applied for NIH grants. And you don't see this, but we have a partnership with Johns Hopkins University to develop the reconstruction algorithms for our products 2 and 3. This is a big market opportunity with the global mammography market growing at a fairly fast clip because of aging population, because of general awareness of this disease. This is October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There are 100 million procedures performed using over 35,000 systems worldwide, and there are already established reimbursement codes for screening and additional codes for diagnosis and biopsy. So if we take those 35,000 mammography systems and knowing that about 10% of them are replaced every year, we can win just 1 in 20 of those sales, we have a healthy business. And if we add to that our products 2 and 3 and service revenue, this becomes a significant business opportunity. So Fisher Imaging succeeds Fisher Imaging Corporation, a company that pioneered digital mammography and stereotactic breast biopsy. And because of that, there's a wide network of independent service providers and distributors who service imaging equipment and sell new equipment, but they do not have a mammography system to sell. They would love to sell our mammography system. Using this network allows us a faster access to market because we don't have to build out a sales force or a service organization, and it gives us a cheaper access to market because we can use their existing customer relationships. Our plan is to engage with these distributors and with the imaging centers that they service so that they can start selling our new products. There's a lot of competition in this area. Hologic, GE, Siemens, but they all use the flashlight approach that I spoke of. And they're pursuing DBT opportunities based on their current technology. Our technology is very different, and frankly, it's very hard for them to switch to a different approach. There are some newer techniques that are beginning to show promise, but they're all adjunct to mammography, with the exception of MRI, which is too expensive to be used for population screening. So we have a team that has several years of experience in launching similar products in medical device and diagnosis, and have launched many similar products in this space. So with that, I would like to conclude. We have a compelling product, a great market opportunity, excellent exit opportunities, and a great team to help take us there. Thank you for your attention.
Hi, great presentation. Can you talk a little bit about, the map showed the US. Can you talk about the opportunity and perhaps the challenges of Europe and potentially Asia? But Europe is my bigger interest.
So typically in the medical device industry, you say, the US is 1x. When you add Europe, basically becomes 2x in terms of the market size. There are more players in the European marketplace, but it's not that much different, at least in mammography, from what it is in the US. Regulation is catching up in Europe, and the playing field is almost the same as that in the United States, if that's your question. No, we will. So we're going to, pursue a global strategy. So for Europe, we're going to we'll go for a CE mark. That's the regulatory mechanism for getting approval inside, and it's very similar to the 510(k) process in the United States. In fact, many companies use the same dossier that they prepare for FDA and submit that for CE marking in Europe.
Shabir, very impressive.
Thank you.
How much has been raised so far, and how much does a device cost?
So we haven't raised any outside money so far. We've self-funded it. We've put in about $1 million in putting together our prototype, in getting our intellectual property in place, and in showing that we meet our performance targets. This is the first time we're coming out seeking outside money.
Well, very impressive.
Thank you.
Any other questions, judges?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Hello Chefy, a web-based system where customers can find reputable chefs. Please welcome founder and CEO, Catherine Hunter Blyden.
Hi, I'm Catherine Hunter Blyden, and I am the founder of Hello Chefy. Hello Chefy is a new concept that launched in Southern California just earlier this year. We have about 30 chefs in Southern California that we send out to cook in homes for special events, such as birthday parties or anniversaries, and we've done a few bachelorette parties in Palm Springs. We have we have done events now in Los Angeles County, Orange County, Riverside County, and in Ventura counties. And we've actually received requests from all over the country. So clearly, people like to break bread and celebrate with their friends. Hello Chefy exists to bring people together to socialize and to dine well. So when I looked at the market, when we look at the chef market, both the personal and private chef market, as well as chefs in the restaurant industry, what we find is that historically they've gotten leads through word of mouth or through referrals. And over time, this has just become more difficult because there's so many dining options available for consumers. They can go to restaurants, They can go to food trucks. There's takeout. There's meal kit services. There's just a host of different opportunities available. And so it's driving the cost up for chefs, and it's making it more difficult to find leads. In addition to that, finding leads through digital marketing has become more important, and most chefs just don't have that expertise. So we've developed a web-based system where chefs can find leads and where consumers can find reputable chefs. So if you look at the average household in 1974 and you look at the food dollars that were spent, about a third of the dollars were spent on restaurants. If you fast forward to 2015, nearly half of all food dollars are now spent in restaurants. In fact, in January 2015, for the first time ever, restaurant sales actually surpassed grocery store sales. And more millennials than ever identify themselves as foodies. This is really evidenced in hashtags on Instagram. If you look at food porn, there are 135 million posts for food porn, 95 million posts for InstaFood, and 45 million posts for foodie. That is comparable to, say, hashtag football, which has just 37 million. So clearly, dining out and food is popular. Also, food media has really soared in the last decade. This is obviously Julia Child. In 1963, her show, The French Chef, aired on public television in Boston. And then 30 years later, the Food Network premiered. But in the last 10 to 12 years, every major network, ABC has The Chew, Fox has Hell's Kitchen, every major network has a food property in their portfolio. And so what this has done is made these chefs more household names. Emeril Lagasse, Wolfgang Puck, Gordon Ramsay, Paula Deen, these become household names, and people feel like chefs are more accessible than ever. These celebrity chefs have really changed the landscape for all chefs. When we look at the size of the market, so the restaurant industry is an $800 billion industry. If we take out the quick serve, the McDonald's and Chipotle's, that market is about $590 billion. The serviceable market we estimate at $1.37 billion, looking at the 1.64 million chefs in the US, again excluding the fast food chefs, and saying if we get 2% of that market, around 32,000, or I'm sorry, yes, around 32,000, and they do one event a week at our average price of about $800 per event, then that's a $1.37 billion opportunity. And we believe we can get in year one or in 2018, $1 million in gross receipts, and by 2020, just under 20 million. So how does this work? We bring leads into our website in a number of ways. We use paid search, we use social media, we use SEO, and we use postcards and a little bit of direct mail. And leads come into our site, they tell us about their event, what they're having, when their event is, where it will take place, how many guests they will have, maybe even what they're celebrating. We get their dietary restrictions as well. Once we get that information, we send it out to our network of chefs. Our network of chefs then bid on the opportunity. Those bids go back to the client. The client can then look at the chef's profile on our website, and they can select a chef from there. In terms of competition, so there's competition both in getting leads and in getting clients. On getting leads for chefs, there's two associations in the US. There's the US Personal Chef Association and the American Private and Personal Chef Association. They each own online directories. One is hirechef.com and the other is personalchefsearch.com. Again, these are really nothing more than directories. If you're looking for a chef in Glendale and you go in and put Glendale, California, you'll find chefs in Glendale. If there are no chefs available in Glendale, but there's a chef in Pasadena, you probably won't find them. But again, it's just listed with contact information there. There's also review sites like Yelp and Angie's List. And in those review sites, they encourage these independent contractors to come in, chefs and others, to come in and register on their site, and then they encourage them to advertise in order to get leads. And in fact, they encourage them to advertise and block their competitors for advertising on their site. A lot of vendors, including chefs, have a love-hate relationship with Yelp. And then there are referral sites like Thumbtack and If Only, where chefs can pay a fee for leads. On the competitor side, on the client side, again, there's restaurants, there's pop-ups or dinner clubs like Feastly. For the do-it-yourselfers, there are meal kits, Plated, Blue Apron, HelloFresh, and then there are delivery services as well. There's Munchery, who actually creates meals for you and delivers their own meals, or Uber Eats and DoorDash, which deliver meals for restaurants. We like to think that Hello Chefy is uniquely positioned in that we bring the restaurant experience into the home. And with that, the chef will go out and shop for ingredients. They bring the ingredients into the home. Whatever they're cooking, the rosemary, the sage, whatever they're cooking is permeating the house by the time by the time the guests show up for an event. In addition to that, there's no fee to quote on our platform, and we're creating a simpler and more robust user experience. Our business model is fairly simple. We earn a commission on every event that's sold on Hello Chefy. We charge 10 to 12% in commission to the chefs, and then consumers pay a 5% fee. So we're getting 16 to 17% for each event. And then in terms of growth, with a $500,000 investment, we would really invest more in marketing, both direct response and then increasing the overall awareness, brand awareness in the target market, as well as an investment in the product itself, again, creating that more robust user experience. With that, we believe we can get to $1 million in gross receipts in 2018, just under $5 million in 2019, and $19.5 million by 2020. So to date, I've really been working on proof of concept, and everyone that I've used to build out the proof of concept have been outside vendors, both for website development, creating content on the website for SEO. In addition to that, I've surrounded myself with a board of advisors who basically fill in the gaps where I don't have expertise. I have about 20 years of experience in everything from market research to advertising at Ford Motor, to also running a multi-million-dollar P&L as a product manager. So on my board, I also have an attorney, a banker, operations person who is Six Sigma trained with GE. I have a technology person, a finance accountant. And at the bottom, you can't see Rosalind Spence, who's my chef extraordinaire. Rosalind was trained at Le Cordon Bleu in France. She has experience in the front of the house and the back of the house in restaurant parlance. She has experience as a caterer and experience as a private chef, and she's currently a culinary instructor. So with that, I'll leave you with a quote from the ever-wise Winnie the Pooh. What can be more important than a little something to eat? I'll take any questions.
With 33 seconds to spare, judges, let's see if we have any questions.
Hi, Catherine. Great presentation. So can you tell us a little bit about, you've already been in market, right? You've already brought the concept to market?
Yes.
Can you give us a little bit more insight on that?
So we've done about 46 events or so to date. Most of them, like I said, the average event has been around 800. I think our largest event that we've closed is a very small wedding, about $6,000. We've also done a few in the $400 to $500 range. Again, they've been all over. Most of them are for birthday parties. In the summer, one of the things I've realized is this is very seasonal. In the summer, we had a lot of bachelorette parties in Palm Springs. And I expect that there will be peaks in Mother's Day, there will be peaks in the holidays. We've already sold a couple Christmas and New Year's parties, and as well as Valentine's Day.
I have the same question that I had for the previous presenter. How do you control the quality of the chefs?
So we recruit chefs. We have a process for recruiting chefs, and that is a review of their backgrounds. We review their references. We actually talk to all of their references. They have to have Safe handling certificate, Serve Safe, is the most popular. For chefs that already work in the restaurant industry, most of their employers have already gotten that for them. If they're working as caterers, they tend to have it as well.
Can you talk a little more about the competition? It feels like there's a pretty big community of caterers out there who do events. Like, where do you see sort of your position with respect to that group?
Right, so the independent caterers are kind of on their own, right? They're the chefs that are out there that are looking to bring in leads. And if they have a bigger outfit, let me say this, we don't do really large parties. We're not looking for the 100 persons or a couple hundred people venue. We tend to do in-home events. Our sweet spot is kind of 8 to 20 people. And that's not really a market that's targeted by the large caterers. For independent caterer or independent chefs, we're probably much more efficient at bringing leads in than they are. So in the long run, we can win there.
Can you tell me a little bit about your growth strategy? It sounds like in 2018, you plan to build up to 5 million, and I think 2019 was a pretty significant jump. What does that look like for you?
So right now, we have chefs that are working with us that do maybe 1 or 2 events a month. We have some chefs that do more, some chefs that do less, but that's it on average. So over time, we're adding more chefs, so we're building more opportunity there, but we're also getting better about finding out what chefs want. Initially, we had a lot of requests in the $300–400 range, and what I found is that my chefs really weren't willing to do those. We're looking at a growth opportunity there, though. I've talked to a couple culinary schools and have 2 on board today that are actually going to send their pre-approved by their culinary directors, their pre-approved students to us, and we're going to use that to kind of tackle the lower end of the market. And then there's growth just beyond Los Angeles. So we've been really focused on Los Angeles County, and then I really went after Palm Springs because we just had so many requests. I can't believe how many Californians vacation in Palm Springs. So we're growing geographically as well. So just brought on the first chef in Ventura, and there's opportunity there in Santa Barbara that way. There's opportunity in San Diego. We've had a number of requests accidentally in Northern California, and I say accidentally because we were kind of using some paid search and finding people there when we really should shut that off since we don't have chefs there, but there is a demand there.
We have time for one more question.
I have one last question. If a customer hires a chef and they really like the chef, what stops them from directly contacting the chef going forward?
Nothing, right? So that's kind of the gig economy concern. There's nothing to stop them from going back to that chef directly. However, interestingly, I've done 1 repeat party in the short time that we've had, and that person requested the chef they had before, and they came to us. The other thing is we have an email list, so we communicate regularly with that client, all of our clients, and so we have chefs that, for instance, have expertise in Italian, and if you don't want Italian, you want Greek next time, you might take a different chef, use a different chef for that.
This is just a comment. Great presentation, Catherine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause.
Thank you.
This next company is a Glendale-based firm, Lupin, which is a communication platform for schools and cities built to aggregate and curate news while strengthening communities. Please welcome founder Adriana Tavares Torreson.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I want to start by saying that my financial projections are not as great as the other ones you guys been seeing, so I apologize for that from the start. I want to start also by asking who has kids here in the audience? Please raise your hands. I'm sure you relate to some of the stories I will be telling you today, and if you don't, you might relate it too. Have you ever looked for free events to take the family on the weekends, like the summer concerts or maybe the story time at the library? I have a 7 and an 8 years old, and when they're little and I was home with them, I remember the story time at the library was fantastic, a way for them to learn stories. It was educational, free, and a way for them to spend some of their energy. I hope you guys didn't get affected by the fires we had last month here in Glendale, but that night I met a friend who has a house on the Burbank Hills, and she brought this laptop with her. She was looking for the updates on the fire every minute. I don't know about you guys, but I had turned off my Facebook and Twitter push notifications a long time ago because it was driving me crazy. It's too much going on. I had moved several times in my life, here in Brazil, and the problem is that every time we move, we need to go to learn about an entire new city. We need to learn about what are the best restaurants, what is the place I should go to have my haircut. So it's a lot to learn to know what's happening in the city. And I moved here 5 years ago. We used to live in Burbank before. And I want to share something I learned about Glendale recently. The city of Glendale delivers free meals to seniors 65 and over who are home bonded, who can leave their homes. I find this absolutely fantastic. So those are some of the problems we have identified on the resident side. On the city government side, they also have a hard time making sure this information finds us. Mainly because the distribution channels out there were not meant for that. Think of social media. The city is competing with everyone else for attention. So to solve some of these problems, we're creating Loopin, a ultra-simple communication platform for cities and residents to connect and build a cohesive, thriving community. And the way it works is the city government will use a content creator tool where they will be sending news, events information, information about the health and educational programs the city offer, emergency alerts, and they will be able to track what events are people sharing the most, which events or news are people adding to their calendar and so on. And residents will be able to receive all this information in a personalized, easy to use mobile app, or there will be a website available as well. The city could also open this platform to the local nonprofits, to the homeowners association, to the Chamber of Commerce, whoever it's part of the community and is creating events and programs for the residents. Some of the areas that Loopin could impact would be, besides the governance, would be security with the emergency alerts, road closure, weather conditions, building by sending information on park and library, education, again, by providing information with affordable and free classes. There could be impact on the economic development by, again, open up this platform for the local businesses. Sustainability by reducing printed material, and health by, again, sharing and distributing further information on all the health programs that the city is already putting in place. Loopin doesn't, we don't have a direct competitor, but our features could be compared with social media, email marketing, the city's website, the printed material, and some cities offer notifications through SMS. So all the content Loopin will be offering, it's already out there. We are just trying to organize it better and personalize so people can really take advantage of everything that has already been offered by our cities. And I've been getting this question a lot, how is Loopin different than social media? So it's completely different, and how it's why, and here's why. So the horizontal line, we have the experience, and the vertical line, we have the content. If you see Twitter, Facebook, they are broad, generalist, and not branded platform, although, yes, we can have City of Glendale web page and so on. When we users get to those platforms, we are experiencing everything else and seeing everyone else feeds. If we include Nextdoor, we see that it's more user-generated content mostly, besides the advertisement that they now have. So Loopin's doing neither of this. We are about proprietary content from your city, and we are narrow, specialized, and branded. So we'll be Loopin Glendale when we launch in Glendale. We'll be Burbank, Loopin, Santa Monica. So whichever city would join us. In terms of market size, our total available market is 19,000. This is the total numbers of cities in the US. Our SAM, it's around 3,000 cities. We are focused on 10,000 to 250,000 cities with that amount of population. Our SAM is 2% out of our serviceable market. So we have 60 cities, and we'll be focused on tech-friendly cities. Our business models, it's a SaaS. A city like Glendale, which is about 200,000 residents, would be $3,600 per month. The city of Glendale will be part of our pilot test, so they are getting a much better deal than this. According to our financial projections that I was saying at the beginning, if we are successful achieving the 2% market, we would be making $2 million by end of year 3 only. In terms of growth strategy and scalability, one of our main focus will be to work closely with cities to make sure residents are aware of this platform and can use to access information. And then we plan to expand to Latin America, to the pharmaceutical and cosmetic industry as well. In terms of timeline, we've started back in April. We've been doing some development and product market validation. We plan to launch with the city of Glendale first quarter of next year. I have 20 years of experience as a UX designer. I've been working for BMW, Disney Imagineering. My co-founder, she's an old friend of mine from Brazil. She's in marketing. My CTO has also a lot of experience with development and startups. I'm currently doing a family and friends route so we can get the product launched in the market. And I would like to end with an invitation. Let's drive less by stay local. Let's save money by attending our free events, the free and affordable programs and classes the cities are offering to us. And let's enjoy life. That's it. Thank you so much.
I'm going to move you a little bit.
Okay.
So you can stand before the judges, and they can ask you some questions.
So I know it's $2 million in the next couple of years, but is there a vision for something more scalable? Do you see this as a scalable kind of company, or is it, do you see it as more of a niche, smaller company?
Yeah, as I had mentioned, we plan to scale to Latin America as well. As I said, my co-founder is in Brazil. And we also plan to open up to the local businesses advertisement if the cities allow. So, and that projection is not included here at all.
A technical question. What's the raise? What are you looking to raise right now?
Yeah, so right now I'm doing a family and friends round. I got 2 investors already, and so we're raising $100,000 only, so we can get the development done by next quarter, first year's next quarter. And then after that, when we launch in the market and we have a final proof of concept, then we would be looking for angel investors. But if angel investors would like to join before, they're more than welcome.
Thank you, Adriana. Great presentation.
Thank you.
I wish you the best of luck in your journey. Okay, so let's say you grow over that $2 million in rev thought process. Would you raise capital from a VC? If so, how much would you raise to get to the next phase?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We would, the idea is, so again, it's just 60 cities out of the 19,000 that we have.
Right.
So it's a very, very conservative margin, I believe, and I prefer working this way. So it's more realistic than like focusing on and targeting big numbers, but we'll definitely be open for venture capital as after.
But you prefer to keep it small?
Yes, I think it's a process, it's a journey, it's a lot to learn. I have a marketing and development person, and I have, as I said, I have a lot of trust and experience with them. But I think if we start slowly and I can build a better and more, a stronger team.
Well, I know you'll be successful. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Adriana, a great presentation. Are there, other than City of Glendale, are there any cities that you have showed this to and are kind of in the pipeline?
Yes, I had spoken with Burbank, I had had pre-meetings with Long Beach, Pasadena, Santa Monica, and everyone is very open. Burbank, I've met with them in person, and they want to see what will be the results for Glendale. So now, launching with Glendale is extremely important for us. But yeah, everyone I've been speaking on the phone, everyone is extremely receptive. And yes, come on over, let's meet, and we want to hear more about it. Yeah.
Just a quick comment. It's great to see that Glendale's launching that pilot. I know 3 years ago we launched Vital Medical Services from Glendale, and now we're at about a dozen cities. And Glendale is very innovative in that fact, and that it's great that it gives its shot to these entrepreneurs, and then from there it really scales. So kudos to starting with Glendale.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, with that, another round of applause for Lupin.
Thank you.
We are down to our last three presenters. Next up is Parthian Energy, which has a unique patented technology to help prevent unexpected battery failures. Unlike the older technology used by anyone else, their technology has 0 false negative, leaving no room for missing and upcoming failure. Presenting their company is the brother-sister team, Mahshid and Farshid Rumi.
Today, batteries are all around us. We use them in our cell phones, EV cars, laptops, in many different applications. But are you safe from battery fires? Parthian Energy is a spin-off company from Caltech. Our mission is to develop unique battery technologies based on years of our research at Caltech. Our strategy is to design and sales of products while outsourcing the fabrication. Our first product is a breakthrough battery monitoring technology for OEMs. So far, we have received several funding awards. By using batteries, you are not safe as you may think. Lithium-ion batteries pack a lot of energy in a small volume. So when they fail, this energy leads to fire and explosion. And today's solution is not enough. The solution is based on design and depending on the application. But Parthian Energy has a unique product for non-contact monitoring of batteries. The only system with 0 false negative, which means that you don't miss any short of batteries. Our device is contact-free, and it detects a microshort, and it helps prevent unexpected battery failures. And this is one of our products. And you can see it's non-contact free, and this is a battery. My brother and I are the founder of the company. Dr. Farshid Rumi got his PhD at Caltech, and after that, he was founded and was leading an advanced battery research lab at Caltech. And I got my PhD in electrical and computer engineering at UC Irvine, and after that, I was a postdoc at Caltech. And we are honored that a group of experienced businessmen and businesswomen help us. Our early target market is power tools. But our main target market is electrical vehicles, which are expanding very hot. And this one shows our estimated expense and revenue.
And right now, we are talking with different potential customers. We are doing several experiments and testing for them. And we expect, based on our interaction with our customers, to have 500K during 12 months. And that's it.
You have some remaining time if you'd like to add anything to that before we go to questions.
No, we thought we just go very fast so there is more time for
Sure.
judges to ask questions.
Absolutely. So we'll go to Q&A. Judges, do you have any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. Currently, do you guys have any clients that this technology is being used in? And also, do you guys have a patent on the
Oh
technology?
yeah, we have several patents issued in US and also internationally in China, Korea, Japan, Europe. And we have some other patents pending. So we were the first people who discovered this phenomena, physical phenomena, that we could look at the electromagnetic wave around the battery just to see what's inside it. It has similarities with MRI, like for bodies. And regarding customer, yes, there is a major automaker, German automaker, and I believe people in the city, they love those cars. So that's the company that's giving us the 500K in a step.
Is that, other than the 500K, is there any other additional raises that you've done?
So yeah, so other than the money coming from the customers, so this car company and also a laptop company, then we also have an investor that we got 500K from. And aside from that, for this technology, for our patent portfolio, so far we have spent maybe about $1.5 million to get to this point.
How long do you expect to be focused on the electric vehicle market, and what's the next big vertical for you after that?
So very good question. So electric vehicle is the market that we want to get into because it's expanding very rapidly. The cost of batteries is dropping very quickly. So, but it's very slow to get a contract. So although we are getting paid through non-recurring engineering fees, it will take some years to get a real contract. And that's why we are focused on power tools, both for like home applications and also industrial in the beginning, to get us a revenue much sooner.
How is Caltech helping you out with your technology?
So we are now completely on our own, totally. So Caltech hosted us for many years, and all the patents by myself and my team, like our patents, they are all Caltech patents that our company got the license for them exclusively.
How large is your team?
The team right now is about 5 people, but we have also like about another 5 that are helping us part-time.
Great, thank you.
When you say the patents are filed under Caltech, is Caltech the owner of the patents, or you?
Caltech is the owner. Like, we are the inventors, but Caltech is the owner.
I understand, okay.
Any other questions?
I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, our next company is Wanna Family Network. This is an online community for babysitting exchange where families with children connect to trade-free childcare. Not trade childcare, but free childcare. Making the pitch is founder and CEO, Aaron Beck.
Last year, my husband and I welcomed our very first child, and she is our everything. As those with kids out there, I know you can definitely relate to that. But then there are also haircuts, date nights, doctor's appointments, time for friends, time for work. And the new national average for hourly rate of childcare is $15 per hour. At that rate, that's not something that my husband and I can generally afford. The number of dates we've been on in the last 18 months is 3. So Childcare is incredibly expensive and out of reach of a lot of parents who are trying to get out there into the world, setting excellent examples of their children, for their children, being community leaders, organizers, and creators. But compromising quality or safety when choosing childcare is something we absolutely cannot do, because nothing is more paramount than the safety of our children. Right now, there is no easy way to acquire safe, low-cost childcare. And that is where the WANA Family Network comes in. What we're doing is providing an online platform for families to connect and trade childcare for free. You sit for me, I sit for you. No monetary exchange is required, and all families get to save money. You get to feel safe by using a referral process built into the system of WANA, and quantitative and qualitative assessments of families in your community, how active they are sitting for others, receiving sits for themselves, and the reviews from people who have participated in sits with them saying, I had a really great time with these people, and you will too. Giving parents the freedom to live not just as a parent, but also as themselves. Will people actually allow people on the internet to babysit their children is a question that I get asked all the time. These are our indirect competitors, people like Urban Sitter, Care.com, and Sitter.com and SitterCity.com. They're seeing up to almost 10 million users on their site. 78% of parents who hire care for their children do so online. There are 35 million families in the United States. If we pare that down to those with young children, those who hire sitters, those who hire online, and a 15% market share for WANA, and we look at, on average, 2 to 3 sits per family per month, there are 25 million sits per year that WANA has the opportunity to capture just within our 15% share of that serviceable market. You can find families you know, or you can meet someone new. When you join the site, you receive a bucket of points for free from us, the site. When you receive babysitting for yourself, when a family takes your child into their home for babysitting care, you give them some of your points. You earn points back by sitting back for anybody in your community. And then if you should happen to run out of points, you can buy them from the company. So we charge a fee to users who don't return the sits. Those who are always trading equitably, they're giving as many sits as they're receiving, get to use the site completely free all the time. For those of us who don't always have the time or desire to sit for other families, we can supplement that with these additional points that you purchase from the site. So at our 25 million sits, what other co-oping groups have experienced is that up to 30% of parents don't have the opportunity to be able to return the sits as much as they want to. At the fee we're charging, we're looking at potentially $420 million in revenue annually at our market capture. Here's our competition. You see over on the side our traditional venues for using your nannies, your parents, your friends to sit for your children. All of that coordination is done offline. Down here in this bottom corner, we see our indirect competitors, groups like Care.com and Sitter.com, who do paid babysitting. These guys have absolutely nailed the online marketplace for babysitting that is paid. Their sites are intuitive, they're easy to use, they're quick, they have great referral systems, they're awesome. They just charge $15 to $25 per hour for babysitting. So that lays us up in this top corner against a handful of direct competitors who have attempted to do this babysitting co-op business. And there are a couple places where we believe those have fallen short. And they didn't meet my needs, which is why we're starting this right now. So one aspect is the social aspect. When you get onto the site, unless you've brought all of your friends along with you, who are you going to interact with? And there's still a lot of offline coordination that needs to happen to say, hey friend, will you come join the site so that I can interact with you? There's another aspect which is the safety aspect. There are some sites that charge a usage fee to their members so they can perform detailed background checks, home inspections, and provide that kind of site-level sense of security. We believe that overhead is not necessary. Companies like Airbnb and Uber have proven to us that peer sharing strategies like review systems and the ability to see rich media public profiles and the referrals of other people and people that they already know is more than sufficient, and in fact often better, because what is better marketing than the recommendation of the peers around you. And so that leaves us up there with a fantastic, streamlined, intuitive online model with free access for everybody that's able to use it and trade equitably, and a strong social balance, giving people the ability to trust those around them. So here we have actually free, easy meet, and people who come to the site can sign up on their very first visit. They can get on there, open an account, get their points, find a friend or a new friend, and book a sit on their very first time there. What this allows us to do is onboard faster than any other competitor in the market. It gives us the strongest social trust, and those two things together have the ability to give us the largest market. And you're only going to probably be a part of one of these sites, the one that all of your friends are on, so that you can all trade this babysitting with one another. This is our team. My name is Erin Beck. Most recently, I was a Dragon mission director at Space Exploration Technologies. I was with the company for 6 years, where I built, designed, and tested Dragon spacecraft. My degree is from Washington University in St. Louis in engineering physics. I believe very strongly that skills are cumulative and transferable. I've been an award-winning theater director. I'm a performer. I'm also an engineer, a scientist, and an entrepreneur. I'm working in partnership with Blend New Media Productions in downtown LA, who's putting together the website and providing marketing and development support. They are kicking it. They're absolutely amazing. And a new team member over here, Jessica Esme, has just joined us. She's down here from Seattle. She's a communications expert in marketing, also a former SpaceXer and a brand new mom. And you'll be witnessing her excellent communication skills as you talk with her this afternoon about the WANA product and what our mission is. We have a soft launch coming. It's imminent in the next couple of days, where we'll start onboarding users, building up their profiles, and do an MVP launch in the middle of November. And why are we doing this? Why am I doing this? So I am an extremely lucky parent. I have, for me, this incredible partner who has taken our child out to play today so that I can be here. But she is also here. In fact, she's here. I can hear her in the back of the auditorium. And she's watching this. She has no idea what's happening here today, but she will. And so this is me right here being a teacher for her. And every single parent should have the opportunity to do that. This is not just something that is nice to have. This is not just something that's a lot of fun. This is something that I feel must exist, because it is absolutely possible and absolutely okay to have and to expect everything. So thank you very, very much.
With that, we'll go to Q&A.
Great presentation, Erin.
Thanks.
So you did a pretty good job of explaining how this platform is different from all the previous ones, but I'll ask you, as a father of 4 kids who's never looked at any online sources for any babysitting services, how do you get me to actually maybe change my mind?
How did you get your babysitting to start with?
Sort of permanent babysitter, and also thank God for grandparents.
Yes, yeah. And I think you bring up a really good point there. Those of us who have family in the area, I don't think this is going to be as applicable to those people right now. If you have access to family nearby you, you have access to great friends who you can bake enough cookies for that they will not get tired after 18 months, like my friends have, because I'm not a chef. I don't think this is going to be for them right away. This is going to be for the people who are really relying on that outside care, especially in a place like Los Angeles, where so many of us are transplants from other places. Yeah.
Do you have a sense of how much it'll cost to buy enough points to get someone to babysit? Like, what is your
What's the point
charge
scheme?
really cost?
Yeah. We do 12 points per hour as a base suggested rate for babysitting. Each point costs between 1 and 2. We work on a bulk packaging system. So you can purchase points a la carte, just to meet the needs of the sit that you're doing right now, or you can purchase them in bulk to meet your future needs. If you purchase at the kind of average middle line bulk package, you're going to be paying per hour about the same amount that you would be paying for a normal sitter. The expectation is that yes, you're paying the same amount for a normal sitter, but you have access to the network, you have access to your trusted friends, and more importantly, most of the time you're supplementing by sitting for other people. So the times you're buying points is when you have an additional need beyond what you can provide to your community. If you purchase in bulk, you get a discounted rate, which is cheaper than what you would be paying any normal sitter. It's around $11 an hour. And if you purchase a la carte, it's around $18 an hour. So you're paying then what's the average in San Francisco, which is the most expensive place for babysitting. So we don't want to undermine the market and create this albatross where people filter in because they're trying to get cheap childcare. We want the people who are coming in and are going to be a part of the community that we're forming.
Excellent, excuse me, excellent job, Erin. And I just have a quick question on the mompreneur term. Is that something you've invented, or has that been used before?
I've been asked that a couple of times. No, I stole it off the internet. I didn't invent that at all. And that speaks to something, that means something. There was a fantastic question that somebody asked in the Women in Tech Forum this morning, which is, are parents, and women in this case in particular, moving towards entrepreneurship because they love it or because they have to? Because that is the way that we can achieve the flexibility to have the kind of really highly active, involved lifestyle that we want with our kids. So the mompreneur thing is exploding. We have found a way and the resources to be whole people and parents at the same time, and we're taking advantage of that.
So I think you're onto something there, so keep at it.
Thanks, sir.
As others said, I think you did a great job with your presentation. Yeah. Really well done. So does every parent, when you're kind of starting up in a different area and you're not really familiar, I think it's much easier when you know the community. Yeah. How do you ensure that the people, you're not doing really any inspections on these individuals? How do you make people feel comfortable, particularly starting in a new community?
Right. And so there's two components to that. I can say, we're using social media strategies for reviews and blah, blah, blah. There's also the parents need to continue to be parents, and we advocate for that. And we always expect everyone engaging into a relationship with someone they don't know to do the vetting processes that they would normally do meeting somebody new. Meet at a park, have a good time, have a coffee. And honestly, I expect most people to come in and use the site through direct or one step removed direct referrals. We have Facebook integration, so you're going to be able to get on, you're going to see your friends you already have that live around you. I've already got 10 friends with kids. They just live in different places and they're not in the same circle. This enables me to put them in the circle, in my circle. I don't even have to go outside of my own comfort zone. I expect most users to use it in that way. But you come to a new place, you don't know anybody. You'll see the friends of friends of your Facebook people, which helps a lot. You'll be able to search by school. If parents have decided to provide that information, you'll be able to search by your workplace, your groups, your interests. So that, say, I work at Collab and Play in Glendale, which I do. I will be able to go on and say, anybody else has signed up here that has self-elected to say that they work at Collab and Play, I'll be able to find them and connect. And then she wants to watch Finding Nemo. I will show you after. In the backup slides, we can go through the whole demo of what it'll look like, but the profiles show pictures of your family and stories about what you do and statistics about your home. So are your kids vaccinated? Do you have any firearms safely stored? Do you have a swimming pool? Do you have pets? Do any of your kids have allergies? All of that is in there and searchable and filterable so you can find matches. Parents are in control of the privacy of the information that they share. At no time are photos, names of any of the kids shared with anybody or the last name of the family until a relationship has been solidified and they've agreed to meet. Addresses, phone numbers, those things are all concealed for the privacy of the family.
Okay, with that, thank you, Erin, for your presentation, and another round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, we're going to move on to our last company. Our last, but definitely not least, is Home. And it is a custom-engineered, completely soundproofed, 55-square-foot sleeping unit designed to provide individuals with comfort, privacy, and a quick escape from the hectic environment. Here to present Home is founder Nicholas Woods.
How you guys doing? All right. So hi, my name is Nick Woods, and my company is Home. So imagine yourself on a road trip. You're driving 8 hours from San Francisco to San Diego. You're about 2 hours away from San Diego in LA, and you want to take a quick rest break. What do? How about another scenario? You just flew into LAX after a 6-hour flight from Chicago. You're exhausted. You have a 2-hour layover before your flight to Seattle. What do? You're stuck in an airport. Probably something like this. But in all seriousness, in both of these situations, what do? If you're somewhere, if you're looking to get a little bit of sleep on the go for a short period of time in a comfortable place, where do you go? We're creating a solution to this problem that will transform the way that we view sleep. Our solution is Home. Home is a custom-engineered, soundproof sleeping unit designed to provide individuals with comfort, privacy, and a quick escape from the hectic work environment. Each unit's about 45 square feet and can be assembled, disassembled within just a few hours. Each unit contains a comfortable twin-size bed, adjustable lighting, charging ports for your cell phones, and privacy glass. And then using our mobile app, individuals could book Home whenever they want. Again, whether they're at LAX with a layover or a hangover, or they're at UCLA Library during finals week. They simply log on, find the unit nearest them, and they're able to book it for anywhere from 1 to 5 hours with a code. They get a code to scan into the unit. So what about the business model for Home? Where are we going to start this? There's a lot of different options for where to start, from airports to hospitals to partnerships with government agencies for disaster relief to co-working centers. But we've narrowed it down to 3 main sectors we want to start with. Universities, major events, and then airports. All 3 kind of playing into each other very nicely. So universities, first off, are our target because there's such a big need there. College students are constantly exhausted, they're tired, they're working late nights, they're pulling all-nighters, they're trying to hit deadlines. Some of them are working jobs while they're going to school. There's commuter students who are stuck there for long periods of time. So it's also easier to scale through the college scene. So that's kind of where we wanted to start, as you usually just have to get approval from student government and maybe a few student university officials. And then that parlays into event placements. So placements at multiple day events, like music festivals like EDC, Ultra Miami, Comic-Con, pop-ups during finals week at universities for 5 days. The list goes on with different events. University hackathons, where it's 36 hours and 2,000 students working straight through with no break. These are all great applications for Home. And this is a look at our event setup. So this is essentially 3 40-foot cargo containers connected together to make one structure. And it's put up in a few hours, or actually about 5 hours, and disassembled about 5 hours and can go to the next event. And through our events and through our university placement, we want to really cultivate that college demographic and get them as our early adopters. And our placements at events are really our marketing machine. This is where, this is how we get media attention. This is how we get social media virality. And through these 2 platforms, we're able to generate inbound interest, which is really what we want. We want inbound interest from more universities across the US, from more events across the world, from different sectors like WeWorks and companies like Facebook and different airports, and that's really how we want to grow the company. So if you look at here's our 3-year projections. The first year we want to hit at least 45 events. That's starting January of 2018. We already have 20 of those events guaranteed, and I'll talk more about that later. We also want to hit 20 universities and 55 other placements. So this, again, working centers, companies, hospitals, you name it. And we want to expand to eventually be doing over 100 events a year with over 200 private placements, long-term placements. So if you dive into the business model a little more, Home has 2 types of customers, the host and the user. So the host would be your Cedars-Sinai Hospital, your LAX, your UCLA administration, the people who are essentially the gatekeepers to the user, who is the actual person who's paying for home per hour. So it's the student, or it's the airport traveler, or it's the event attendee. So that's the two types of customers we have. So based off this business model, in the three sectors I mentioned earlier, universities, for example, would pay $4,500 per month for 4 units. And that's not just dropping our units and saying, hey, figure it out. That's our full turnkey package. So we're bringing our units in, we're bringing our booking system and our website and our mobile app in, and we're also bringing an attendant who's there to help users check in, to clean units after every use, to change the sheets, to make sure they're not dirty for the next person. It's essentially like a hotel experience. So that's the cost that they're paying. And the great thing about that business model is that with that small payment for 4 units per month, we're breaking even every month. So we're guaranteed to break even in profit off of all of our university placements for events. And then for students would pay an hourly cost, so they'd pay a smaller hourly cost of maybe $10 to $12 per hour, something that's affordable for them. And then events is a little bit different in that it's per unit per day. So for an indoor event, we charge $275 per unit per day, so like a hackathon or something like that, Comic-Con. For an outdoor event, if we need our outdoor setup, we charge $320 per unit per day. And this attendees would pay an average of $12 per hour. With airports, there would be no fixed cost to the airport. In fact, we'd probably pay a lease on the space that we take up. And the traveler would pay a little, because of that, the traveler would pay a little bit higher of an hourly rate. And also airports are kind of a captive audience, so that's kind of our business model as far as that. As far as competition, our biggest competitor right now, I think, would be Metronaps, and here's why we're better. They produce these chairs right here, and as far as privacy and comfort, your whole body's exposed. So if you're not used to sleeping like that with people looking at you, not the best chair for you. Also, they're not soundproof, so you can hear everything around you. So maybe this, plus Xanax might work, but just on its own, I don't know if it's going to work. With home, you're in a soundproof, secure room. It's lockable. It's private. And then the cleanliness, you don't know who's been in this chair before you. Did they sweat? Did they have bad breath? Whatever. With home, every unit's cleaned after use. And then, again, it goes back to us being a turnkey solution. We're not just dropping a pod in and saying, hey, figure out how to do the logistics and the booking, and which, in my opinion, is kind of a liability. We're bringing our full turnkey solution. So we're bringing our booking system. We're bringing an attendant for each placement, so 1 attendant for every 4 units. And that's the full kind of turnkey solution Home's bringing over, the chair. If anything, this is kind of an MVP that, hey, people are open to napping in the workplace and they're open to the idea of it, but we want to bring a better product in. Here's a look at the market size for global sleep aids. So that includes sleep hardware, sleep devices, mattresses. It's valued at $58 billion in 2014, and that number is expected to hit $80 billion in 2020. I look at the team. My CTO, Brett, he's been a senior engineer for probably about 6 years, a regular software engineer in total about 12, 14 years. He's worked at companies like Sony and Apple. He worked on the PlayStation 2. Myself, this is my second company I started. I started my first company in the medical supply space, and I sold that at the start of 2016. And then we have a great set of advisors. Solomon Creighton has years of experience in the airport retail space. He was formerly the VP of Express Spa, which is an airport retail chain that's in JFK, LAX, DFW. Mark Benning, he's raised over $100 million, started several companies. Mike Alfred recently just sold his company for $20 million over the summer. And we're based out of San Diego. As far as traction, what have we done so far? So we have our tech that's set to be completed by this month, so that's super exciting. So our mobile apps and our website will be all complete by this month. We have our initial 10 pods arriving in November. That's also really exciting. We're excited to get those. And even though we don't have our units yet, we've still been racking up a lot of very interested parties. I think the most solid placement right now that we have is at UCLA and UC Berkeley during finals week. So we've been in talks with the student government of both schools who are very interested in having our event placement during the finals week, and then a longer-term placement in the library and student union. So those are probably our most solid 2 leads as where we're going to start Home. And the awesome thing about that is that we're also working on a partnership deal with Tempur Sealy. So those first 20 events that we do are going to be sponsored by them. So they're paying essentially for the cost, that $320 per day per unit. They're paying that. The more exposure that we get, the more that they grow. And so it makes sense to have an exclusive kind of mattress partner. Also, our first 3 schools are not going to have to pay that $4,500 cost. Tempur Sealy is going to cover that. So that's kind of what the partnership entails. And then, as of 3 weeks ago, we got introduced to Ariana Huffington, who has a real interest in what we're doing with home. And now we're drafting up a proposal for her for collaborating with her company, Thrive Global and Home, for our December launch. So right now, we're looking for $1.5 million in seed funding, and a majority of that's going to product, unit placement, and the rest is going to build out the team that will make this company a reality. So, yeah, that's the presentation. Thank you.
Nick, thank you. Great presentation. I have a question about the numbers. Maybe I missed something, but you mentioned $275 a day at $12 an hour for rental. So if you do the math, that's 23 rentals in 24-hour period to break even. So if you rent it out for, I'm assuming it's 1 hour for $12?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, so if it's 23 hours and you still got to clean it and turn it over for the next guest, how does that make money?
Yeah, so the break-even point is for any placement, whether it's event or whether it's a long-term placement, is about 4 months. So at max. So that's for any placement. So if you do an event placement and you're doing $275 per unit per day, our cost per unit is about 12 grand. So that unit has to be booked for 43 days consecutively. That could be, consecutively, or that could be over the span of a few months.
But each unit has to be rented at 23 hours a day, right? I mean,
no, not necessarily. It just has to be booked for 43 days total to break even on the cost. And if you're doing an outdoor placement, then 337 days actually. So no placement of home should take longer than 4 months to break even. And
So 2 things. One is, I think the question is for the entity that's renting the home, they're paying $275 for a day. They can't make a profit on that. So is the idea that they're not trying to make a profit? They're doing it as a service to their community, or like how are you thinking about that?
There's different models we're looking at for that. It's not necessarily just them paying and then them, like there's a possibility that we could do a revenue split on a user generated revenue. So like if we place an event, one event we were talking to a music festival in San Diego wanted us to place, and they were talking about doing a revenue split, so 50-50 revenue split on all the revenues generated. And then it would also kind of provide something that's cool for the attendees, because it's not only somewhere you could rest, but it's somewhere you could charge your phone and kind of re-plug in. And it's almost like it becomes like a selling point, I think, for the event eventually. So
the event's not trying to make money on the pods. It's using it as another feature to promote their event. They're going to lose money on the pod, but that's okay because it's a feature for their event. That's the idea.
Right. That's kind of how we're trying to sell it. Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Any other questions, judges?
thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Okay, with that was our last company. I'd like to give our judges about 5 minutes to finish deliberating and tallying up all the rankings. But what an impressive group of companies. Another round of applause, please, for all of the presentations. Takes a lot of courage to come up here and make a pitch. Congratulations to all of you, no matter how this turns out. We'll be back to you in about 5 minutes. Tough decision for the judges. A lot of conversation, most definitely, and they wanted to make sure that I conveyed that to all of you and that everyone did a fantastic job, and thank you for coming today. Yes. With that, just to make sure that we let you know how well you did, we wanted to make sure that we tell you who the top 3 are. Because it's important for you to know how well you did and to continue to push forward. All of you should push forward, but in particular, the highlights of today. Number 3 is Bootstrap Legal. Congratulations to you for doing so well. Number 2, again, tough decision, was Wanna Family Network. Congratulations to you. Very nice job. And the winner of today's Pitchfest is a fantastic one, I think, sitting up here and listening as well myself. And so without further ado, the winner of today is Fisher Imaging. Dr. Shamir Bambot, please come on up. Please, sir, come on up. And as he's making his way up here, I'd like to thank our sponsors, most definitely, and they're already up here on stage, and they're going to say a few words about each of their companies and make the final check presentation to the doctor. But first and foremost, I'd like to invite our former mayor and council member, Zara Sinanian, to say a few words, and truly this is his brainchild. That's why we're here. He brought this up over 2 years ago and wanted to make sure that we have something to do with technology in the city of Glendale and wanted us to do some work. And if it wasn't for him pushing it, we wouldn't be here today. And I think the second year is unbelievably surpasses what we did last year. So with that, Council Member Zara Sinanian.
Thank you, Yasmin. Okay, so thank you, everyone. I don't know, I'm very excited about the results of our Tech Week, about the Pitchfest. I'll tell you the decision that was made was actually a pretty tough one. We had dissent amongst our ranks, which is a sign of a sort of a healthy judging process, and also a sign of how strong the candidates were. There were very exciting, models that were proposed to us, very exciting ideas that were pitched, and for that we're very thankful. I want to thank our sponsors who've made today's Pitchfest possible, and I want to thank our staff for organizing all this, and also the committee. But most importantly, I want to thank all the participants who have come and have blessed us with our presence at Glendale Tech Week. I hope you participate also next year. We're going to have an even bigger and better set of events. And finally, I'm just going to keep this short. Thank you for all the judges who volunteered and whose very informed and intellectual input made our decision, I hope, the right one. So thank you very much. And congratulations, Fisher. Yeah, thank you.
With that, I'd like to invite our sponsors up one at a time to say a few words and tell us about your company. So come on up one at a time, please.
Hi, I'm Juan with Community Bank, and we are just proud to be part of this neighborhood and always look forward to all the new innovative ideas in the area. And it's just great things, and I think that's just part of our future and our success here. Thank you, guys.
Armin Vartanian with Ocean View Capital Partners. We're a private equity firm, but occasionally provide advisory work as well. And congratulations.
On behalf of our firm, Sad Velasquez Agashi Shama, CPAs and advisors, I'm very proud to be a sponsor of this event, and I want to congratulate all the participants. Give them a hand. But there was something particularly compelling about the Fisher presentation, and it's mostly every woman in my life has been affected by breast cancer, and I think this is a very vital and a very important technology that this company has presented. So thank you again for all who are here and participated in this event. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Bruno. I'm the founder of Bruno Group, Inc., which is a law firm here in Glendale, and we help entrepreneurs and companies with their growth by taking care of all their legal. And congratulations to Fisher Imaging for winning the Pitchfest, and thank you to everyone for being here.
Hi, I'm Ana Quintana, and on behalf of Black Diamond Ventures, I'd like to congratulate the winner, Fisher Imaging, and thank you to all the wonderful entrepreneurs that presented today. You were all amazing. Don't give up.
Thank you for all the presenters and all the participants at the second annual Glendale Tech Week. I'm Ara Aslanian with Inverse Logic. Thank you very much. All the presentations were wonderful, and congratulations, Fisher.